Good evening, it's 8 o'clock. I'm Sally Burdett, live from Johannesburg. Your top stories this evening.
The handbag was actually delivered and then Gavin Watson put 300,000 rand in the bag and he delivered it.
Claims of 300,000 rand stuffed into a Louis Vuitton handbag in return for protection from the president, and also journalists allegedly bribed to protect Bosasa. Will he stay or will he go? Claims and denials. Questions over whether DA leader Dudu Myeni has the full support of his party. And fees must fall activist Bonginkosi Kanyile sentenced to 3 years house arrest for his part in the 2016 protests. We start here. A Louis Vuitton handbag stuffed with cash. Just one of the dramatic allegations made today at the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. Former Bosasa COO Angelo Agrizzi claims he gave regular cash payments to former SAA chair Dudu Myeni to pass on to Jacob Zuma. Myeni has hit back. She's told one of our reporters that Agrizzi is, quote, a bitter racist who is angry at his former boss, Gavin Watson. Here's Erin Bates with details of today's testimony.
I don't think the foundation ever got any money.
Angelo Agrizzi is claiming Bosasa was giving the former president far more than birthday cakes. He's accusing Bosasa CEO Gavin Watson of personally delivering 300,000 rand to Jacob Zuma in Nkandla 2 years ago.
He personally delivered it to Jacob Zuma, put the bag next to him and asked him the question, does Dudu give you your money every month? And the answer was yes.
He's alleging Bosasa spent 3.5 million rand on favours for Zuma in 1 year. Agrizzi has testified the expense would be hidden as corporate social investment in Bosasa's books. Key to the alleged plot, Dudu Myeni, the chair of the Jacob G. Zuma Foundation. She's denying the allegations against her.
And the payment was for the foundation, apparently.
Mr. President.
Myeni's calling Agrizzi's bluff, demanding he provide proof. Agrizzi claims Watson gave Myeni a designer money bag of her own.
My wife said to him, well, you should go and buy a nice handbag. The handbag was, she arranged it. The handbag was actually delivered and then Gavin Watson put 300,000 rand in the bag and he delivered it.
Myeni is consulting her lawyers on a formal response to the commission. Agrizzi has testified Bosasa sought her influence over Zuma. He claims Myeni was very, very powerful and proved key to halting a hawk's swoop on Bosasa.
We will resume at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Erin Bates, Johannesburg.
Well, Agrizzi has also named journalists that Bosasa allegedly paid for information. Now, he says 71,000 rand a month was available for bribes, including 30,000 rand to pay for positive stories and any information on upcoming negative articles. Agrizzi also spoke about the use of media consultants hired to help keep up a positive image of the facilities management company that has multiple contracts with the government. Now, he said today the consultants also had to discredit journalists who were writing negative stories about Bosasa. Agrizzi names the journalists Benedicta Dube as well as Stephen Laufer among the alleged consultants.
What was the purpose of the employment of the media consultants you've just mentioned?
Was to get rid of negative publicity and also to discredit the journalists that were writing that type of articles.
Do you have any further detail in that regard?
There was an in-depth report done on various journalists, as well as a spidergram which showed their link-ups to the Stellenbosch crowd. One of the journalists was Basson, the other one was Du Plessis, and then there was basically just a campaign to discredit them.
Well, Stephen Laufer has responded to those allegations. He acknowledges he worked as a media consultant for Bosasa in 2006, but says he quit in 2007 when he was allegedly asked to undertake unethical activities against journalists. Now, another consultant named by Agrizzi, Pinky Kwabane, says she never met Agrizzi and she will be making a submission to the Commission. Moving on to other news, and the DA's former chief whip in Emfuleni, Simon Nkosi, says there's growing unhappiness in the party over Dudu Myeni. Now, two sources within the party have this evening confirmed to our reporter that there are plans to oust the leader of the official opposition. Those claims are, however, being rubbished by the party leadership. Aldrin Sampier reports.
Amandla! Amandla!
Election campaigning is in full swing, but for DA leader Dudu Myeni, the daggers are also wielding.
There's a group of people that campaigning going around says, no, okay, fine, on the next provincial and national congress, Dudu needs to go out.
According to the city press, Myeni's detectors could call for an early congress. The determining factor will be whether he's able to lead the party beyond the 22% it attained in the 2014 polls. Nkosi says he's lost confidence in the party and Myeni. He says the plan to get rid of the opposition leader was hatched even before his re-election last year.
They realized that we need elections, and the most important elections. And we cannot take that move yet because we have not tested Dudu Myeni nationally.
That push, ENCA understands from two separate sources, has come from the so-called liberals within the party at a national level. The DA's head office has rubbished these claims, referring all inquiries to its Gauteng counterpart.
As far as I'm concerned, being part of the Democratic Alliance, there's nothing to it.
But that campaign for the highest office in the land could be derailed by internal battles. Aldrin Sampier, Johannesburg.
To Durban now, and one of the well-known student activists behind the Fees Must Fall movement was sentenced today. Bonginkosi Kanyile spent nearly 6 months in prison awaiting trial after the nationwide protests in 2016. Now, last year he was convicted on charges of public violence, and today he was sentenced to 3 years of house arrest. Desanthathia spoke to him at the Durban Magistrates Court.
At the height of the 2016 Fees Must Fall protests, Bonginkosi Kanyile was on the front lines. Images like these, showing him throwing rocks, have been central to the state's case. He's been found guilty of public violence, possession of a dangerous weapon, and failing to comply with the police instruction. Now he faces 3 years of house arrest. He'll only be allowed out of his home for classes and community service. He'll also have to stay away from booze.
I accept the sentence. They are sentencing an idea, they're not sentencing me. My body, my mind, my soul is free. I'm a free man and an innocent man.
While many protesters hurled rocks in 2016, no other Fees Must Fall activist has spent as long as he has behind bars awaiting trial. Almost 6 months. This is in part because his actions were so clearly caught on camera, and also because the prosecution regards the slingshot he used as a dangerous weapon. Kanyile still doesn't agree with that.
They are carrying tear gases, then they become victims. They are victimized by a slingshot. 3 years discussing a slingshot, you victimized police. Police, they go, we were traumatized by a slingshot, its ballistic unit, and so on and so forth.
As his parting shot, Kanyile, who's studying towards a master's degree, urged his supporters not to give up the fight for free education. Desanthathia, Durban.
Taxi drivers have a bad reputation, and many of us have seen reckless minibus moves on the road. And while not all taxi drivers behave this way, this morning Joburg Metro Police were out in full force to clamp down on those who do break the rules of the road. And our reporter Masego Ratlacha was at a massive roadblock set up in Kailami.
This minibus dangerously cuts off another vehicle to try and squeeze back in. JMPD officers arrived to restore order. They also find many taxis in appalling conditions. For instance, this one has no license disc, only one wiper, and the driver's window is being held up with these wooden planks. And while this taxi driver gets a fine, another taxi is stopped. This vehicle is full of passengers. It too doesn't have a license disc, and the tires are completely worn out. The passengers say they're grateful every time they arrive at their destinations in one piece.
Hey, I feel very terrible and scared because I don't know whether I'll be at home safely or what.
The drivers are blaming the Metro police officers for the problem.
Usually which it's happen, usually they write a lot of tickets to us. Some of the tickets it's unfair. They write to you unfair, some it's our reckless. So we end up not having a driver's license.
Metro police officers are saying it's not just the drivers who are at fault.
It's the taxi owner's responsibility that they have taxis on the roads which are roadworthy, because people's lives are at stake by transporting people in taxis in such a poor roadworthy conditions.
After the 2-hour operation, 8 taxis were impounded and several drivers were handed traffic fines. Masego Rahlaga, Johannesburg.
Other news making local headlines now, and 2 more people have been shot and killed at the notorious Glebelands hostel in KwaZulu-Natal. The killings came just hours ahead of the trial against 8 suspects, including a policeman. Now, the group's trial in connection with previous murders at the hostel was set to begin at the KZN High Court in Pietermaritzburg. The so-called Glebelands 8 were due to appear in court today for the start of what was expected to be a protracted trial. The court case has been postponed until Wednesday. Police are investigating a Bryanston High School employee for sexual misconduct. The perpetrator has been suspended following an internal investigation. The exact details of the abuse are yet to be revealed. According to a statement, the affected pupils are receiving counselling. Learners are being encouraged to speak out through the school's online anonymous reporting tool. Still ahead on eNews, concerns that the opening of the US government may be short-lived as Donald Trump looks for an acceptable deal to fund a wall on the Mexico border. Let's look at your business news now, and we start with news around 2 state-owned entities. Commercial banks have agreed in principle to grant South African Airways a loan. Meanwhile, embattled power utility Eskom's bills are piling up as it struggles to finish building 2 power stations. Commercial banks may lend SAA 3.5 billion rand to keep it operating until the end of April. CEO Vuyani Jagana says the airline's operations are now in good shape, and so it should be able to secure funding. But things not going so well at Eskom. Setbacks at Kusile and Medupi power stations will cost 2 billion rand to fix. According to the state-owned power utility, the project is also years behind schedule and is set to cost over 200 billion rand to complete. The SABC, Prime Media and Ster-Kinekor have been ordered to pay millions of rands in penalties by the Competition Commission. This after admitting to price fixing and cartel-like behaviour. Now, the penalties relate to an investigation that found the media companies agreed to offer similar discounts and payment terms to ad agencies that placed adverts through an organisation called Media Credit Coordinators. The SABC will pay an administrative penalty of over 31 million rand. Prime Media will pay over 9 million rand, and Ster-Kinekor has been fined 437,000 rand. The companies will also be required to give 25% bonus advertising space for every rand of advertising space bought by qualifying small agencies, as well as contribute towards the Economic Development Fund over 3 years. Other companies that have also been fined include DSTV Media Sales, Independent Media, Caxton Publishers and Media 24. With that, let's take a quick look at your markets today. take a quick look at international news now. And the United States government has reopened following a 35-day shutdown. Now, the longest government shutdown ended on Friday amid mounting pressure as the effects were spreading across the country. President Donald Trump is vowing to shut it down again, however, unless an acceptable deal is reached around that wall. He wants over 78 billion rand to build a wall with Mexico. Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro has visited the site of Friday's dam collapse. At least 34 people were killed, hundreds are still missing. A mining company responsible for the site is under scrutiny. Our President Cyril Ramaphosa has sent his condolences to the people of Brazil. Still ahead, we're going to go to Candace, who's at our weather centre in Cape Town. Hi there, Candace, for all your weather news. And then Brexit, it seems, is not only affecting potential businesses, but love and relationships as well. That story coming up. Let's get your weather now from Candace McKechnie, coming to us from Cape Town. Hey there, Candace, how's it looking?
Hi, Sally. Well, it's been a scorching hot start to the work week over the western part of South Africa. But tomorrow we'll see slightly cooler weather with some fog and cloud also moving in along that western coastline. You'll see a low pressure moving along the coast, and that's also associated with bergwind conditions, resulting in a sizzling hot day over the southern part of the country. Things also remain dry over the far northeastern and eastern parts, but then you'll see a combination of thunder showers and showers between that, with isolated to scattered thunder showers in the forecast. In the Northern Cape, we're expecting isolated thunder showers over the eastern parts, Priska and Kimberley both heading into the mid-30s, 27 and partly cloudy for Springbok, a slightly cooler day for the Western Cape, especially along the coastline, 27 and partly cloudy for Cape Town and Hermanus. Still sizzling hot though for Beaufort West at 38 with a chance of thunderstorms, and George at 29. Scorching hot across the Eastern Cape Interior, a few of those highs even heading into the low 40s, and you'll see the possibility of thunder showers here, 32 for East London and Port Elizabeth. Warmer for KwaZulu-Natal, partly cloudy at around 30 along the coastline, with a chance of thunder showers over the interior. We're expecting scattered thunderstorms over the western part of Mpumalanga, with highs heading into the mid-20s, mostly clear for Bombela at 27, and you'll also see a dry day throughout Limpopo, Polokwane at 26 degrees. Ceres and Rustenburg remain partly cloudy and dry, with isolated thunder showers for the rest of northwest, as well as the Free State, 27 for Zastron and Harrismith, around 30 degrees for Bloemfontein and Welkom. Gauteng can also expect isolated thunder showers on Tuesday with a warmer day, 27 for Soweto and Johannesburg, and Pretoria just shy of 30 degrees. On Wednesday, you'll see a bit of morning drizzle for Cape Town after a cold front, and you'll see thunder showers from Mahikeng all the way through to East London and Durban. Still dry for Bombela and Richards Bay, but by Thursday we'll see thunderstorms all the way through to the eastern part of South Africa, with a few showers and cooler temperatures in the south. That's all from the Weather Centre. Have a great night.
Thank you very much, Candace McKechnie in Cape Town. And finally, the Brexit debate is causing divisions of an unexpected nature. It's apparently breaking up relationships. Statistics revealed by an online dating agency, eHarmony, show that divisions over Brexit have led to the end of more than 1.5 million relationships across the United Kingdom since 2016.
People are really angry out there. I think that they're also pretty confused. I mean, it is a confusing issue. There seems to be a story about Brexit and different variations on the Brexit theme every day. And one thing that we found with politics is during times of uncertainty, it does have an impact on love and relationships.
Blame it on Brexit. Before we go, let's recap your top stories this evening. Claims of 300,000 rand stuffed into a Louis Vuitton handbag in return for protection from the president, and journalists allegedly bribed to protect Bosasa. Will he stay or will he go? Claims and denials. Questions over whether DA leader Mmusi Maimane has the full support of his party. And fees must fall activist Bonginkosi Kanyile sentenced to 3 years house arrest for his part in the 2016 protests. From me and the team, enjoy your evening.